everyone, welcome back to SF Giants Recap, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about the Giants rankings of just all their players. Inside 28 players, some of them didn't play as many games, some people I left out because they didn't play much games this year, and so this will be just kind of the main players that played for most of the year or some of the year with the Giants. And so there will be people like Tyro Estrada, Chris Bryant on there, and so let's get right into the tier rankings. And if you have any disagreements, comment down below. And so I'll start off with Brandon Crawford. So, and for the tier rankings, we have amazing, great, good, and bad. And so I'll be just ranking them in these categories right here and just go from there. And so for amazing, we are going to start off with Brandon Crawford. So Brandon Crawford is obviously going to go in amazing. He had a career year MVP candidate, in my opinion, better than Tatis. Like, yes, Tatis did lead in more stats, but Tatis' team tanked when they had a lot of high expectations. He also missed a lot of games, but Crawford was just absolutely amazing. His glove is amazing. Easily probably going to win Gold Glove this year. So that's why he is going to start in amazing. Now, Kevin Gausman, if I take his first half, he's in amazing. But if I take his second half, he's in good. So I'm going to put him in great. He was really good this year. Was a really good pitcher. Splitter was working. It struggled a little bit throughout the year, but he did fine at the end. It felt like finally got it back, but it was just kind of too late of where he just struggled too much. And so that's why I have him in great. And so now on to Chris Bryant, and this is just off the Giants. And Chris Bryant, he was pretty clutch with us. He got the walk-off one time. He did really well. He hit a lot of home runs, but at the same time, he just wasn't that star player we were hoping with, and he had a couple of errors, but in the postseason, he was really good. And so, I want to put him in great, but, part of me is saying put him in good. And so, just by the benefit of the doubt, I think he deserves to go in great with the Giants, just because he did help in the postseason. He was one of the better players in the postseason, because no one else showed up. And so that is why I'm putting him in the great category. And then on to Brandon Belt. If Brandon Belt wouldn't have missed so many games, he would easily been in amazing, but he did miss a lot of games. He got injured, and so that was the only disappointing part. So I'm going to put him in the great category as well. He was a great team leader and all that. Hit 29 home runs, even with missing so many of the games. And so that's just why I have him there. Then we go on to Evan Longoria. Evan Longoria at the start of the season was really good. Was putting up career high numbers. And then he just kind of got hurt and kind of flattened out later in the season. And so I'm going to put him at good. His glove is great out there. His glove is at amazing, but his hitting wise, he didn't really produce much for us, and so that's why I have him at good right now. So that was our first person in good. Alex Wood. Alex Wood was a very utilized pitcher. He was very consistent in the means of he would allow only 3 runs a game, which is pretty consistent, and he did struggle a little bit, but he was one of our better pitchers and more consistent pitchers in the rotation. And so I'm going to put him in good as well with Longoria, just because he did struggle a little bit, but he did catch on and was consistent. And then with Johnny Cueto. Johnny Cueto did get injured. He kind of didn't pitch well. He started off really good. I'm like, yeah, we have Johnny Cueto back. But then he kind of tanked. And so that's why I'm putting him in eh. So our first player in eh is Johnny Cueto. And so that's why I have him in just because he wasn't bad at all. He was a decent player, of course, but he just wasn't that player that we were hoping for. So that's why I have him in. Now on to Austin Slater. Austin Slater, as much as I want to put him in bad, he wasn't good at all this year. I mean, he did have some key hits, so he wasn't bad, but he is going to go into the next worst category, which is just because he could only hit for power sometimes. He struggled with the high pitches. He chased a lot of pitches. His defense wasn't great. He has a hard time throwing out there. So that's why I just have him in just because he wasn't great out there. Now we have Tommy LaStella. Tommy LaStella is going to go in good. Because Tommy LaStella, he was hurt like everyone else, it feels like, for a majority of the season. And when he did come, he didn't really provide the expectation we were wanting. But he did provide some good leadoff hitting and had some power in the bat and played a pretty good second base, better than Donovan Solan in my opinion. And so now we're going to go on to Logan Webb. And honestly, just for his postseason appearances and the second half of the season, he's one of the best pitchers. I'm going to put him in amazing. And him and Kevin Gausman were really good, led the pitching staff. I'm going to put Kevin Gausman up here because he's probably the top in the amazing. And I'm going to put these in order. And so Logan Webb was not better than Brandon Crawford, of course, but he was a really great pitcher. You could put him out there, and you expect a lot from him, and so that was really good to see. Now on to Lamont Wade Jr. Lamont Wade's stats weren't amazing if you look at them. He was worse than Darren Ruff in a majority of the hitting stats, and his defensive play was pretty good. It wasn't bad, but it was nothing special. But Lamont Wade, late night Lamont, was really clutch in a lot of the situations. And so you can't put him in amazing, unfortunately. But I am going to put him in great. He's going to be in the lower category of great, just ahead of Chris Bryant. And so now on to Castro. Castro did not play that much of the season, so there's no way he's going to be amazing. But he was a really good pitcher. He was pretty consistent. He had a 0 ERA through most of his appearances. He played really well, was pretty consistent out there. And so I want to put him in great, but I'm going to put him at the top of good because he hasn't pitched that much in the majors, but he's really consistent and was one of our better relief pitchers at the end of the season. So that was really fun to watch him pitch. And then on to Anthony Descafoni. Anthony Descafoni, really good pitcher at the beginning of the season. I felt like his arm just wore down as the season went on, and so he really struggled later. If he didn't play the Dodgers, he probably would be in the Cy Young running, but he played the Dodgers. He let up a lot of runs against them. He wasn't very consistent, had a lot of up and downs, so he's going to go in the lower category of good, probably the worst of the good, if you know what I mean. And so that's why he is down here, just because he was really good starting pitcher at the beginning of the season, like a lot of our pitchers, but then just kind of struggled at the end, and so that's why he's going to go there. Now on to Donovan Solan. Donovan Solan had a 280 average this year, did really well hitting. He just didn't have, we had high expectations for him, and he didn't really exceed them, and so that's why I'm going to put him in good. But he is going to be one of the better goods. He's going to be right by Tommy LaStella. Him and Tommy LaStella are very similar, except Tommy LaStella has more pop. But Donovan Solan hits for a better average. And so now on to Tyler Rogers. And I'm going to put Tyler Rogers in amazing. He's definitely not the greatest of among greats, but he was very, very, very good this year. We could put Tyler Rogers out there, and we could have trust in him and know that he would do good. He only struggled a couple times out of the bullpen, pitched pretty nasty, and so that's why I have him in amazing. Now on to Jake Mcgee, and Jake Mcgee is going to probably go in the better of good, just because I feel like he's better than Castro because he pitched more, and he's really good lights out closer in the beginning of the season. He did get injured, and that kind of hurt him later in the season. And he was taken by Camilla Duvall, but he's a really good reliever. You can't deny it. One of the best. And so now I'm going to go on to Alex Dickerson. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to put Alex Dickerson one of the worst, just because he was injured. He did not play good. He had maybe a couple home runs, a couple good hits. But overall, he just wasn't good for us. He just didn't play well at all. And he's not a bad player at any means, but compared to the rest of the staff, he's definitely in the lower of the category. And now on to Curt Casali. Curt Casali, defensively, amazing. Best catcher in the league probably in defensive, pitch calling, blocking. Throwing people out, not amazing, but still, he's really good defensive catcher. Hitting-wise, though, nothing special. And so he is probably going to go in but he's going to be one of the best in because he's definitely a better hitter. I mean, a better like defensive player than a lot of these players, and probably the best, and really helps our pitching staff. But hitting wise, like, he couldn't produce anything, and that's kind of unfortunate. You want a catcher that you can put up there and you're like, he has a chance to get hit, but I never felt like he was going to get a hit, so that was the only reason he's going to go in. Now with Harlan Garcia, like most of our relievers, were pretty consistent this year, pretty good, and so he's going to go in one of the lower categories of good, just because he was a relief pitcher, and he's really good, but just not one of the top relief pitchers. One of our better, more reliable arms, but he did blow a couple games where we could have had an easy win. But now on to Camilla Duvall. And Camilla Duvall is easily going to go in the lowest of the great, just because Camilla Duvall was absolute lights out in the later part of the season. Helped fill in that closer gap where Jake Mcgee was very shaky and got hurt. So it was really good to see him step up, throw his fastball, find the command with his slider, have a really nasty combination, and was very reliable. Even though he did ruin our season with letting up the Cody Bellinger hit, I don't really care about that right now. He was on short rest, he was put in a tough situation, and he's been lights out all year, and so that's why he's going to be in the lower of the great category. Now on to Thairo Estrada. And Thairo Estrada, he was a really great hitter for the Giants, really good utility player. Fortunately, he did have like a lot of options, so they did send him up and down from the minors to the majors, which is unfortunate for him, but at the same time, I really liked how they did it with him. And he's going to be in the lower of good, but he's a really good player, and so I think he has a bright future with the Giants, and he really stepped up. Wilmer Flores. I'm going to put Wilmer in the great category, or the top of the good. I'm going to put him in the top of the good category just because of how clutch he was in most situations. And yeah, he was just really good and provided a lot of clutch home runs and stuff. Now on to Mikey Shrimpski. One of the more disappointing players, but he did hit a lot of home runs, and that's why I'm going to put him in the good category, just ahead of Longoria. And just kind of a disappointing season because we had such high expectations, but he did hit like 25 home runs, 24 home runs, so that's nothing bad. That's really good, but he just really didn't exceed the expectations that we had for him, and that was just kind of unfortunate. Zap Patel. I'm going to put Zap Patel in the top of the category. He was a really good relief pitcher, just kind of couldn't find his groove. He struggled throughout most of the year, but he was a very reliable arm most of the time. He kind of just let some pitches go right in front of the plate and kind of blew some games, and so that's why he was right there. Steven Duggar, I feel like was one of our best players in the sense of unexpected, and so I'm gonna put him in the lowest of great. Like, he's on the verge of being in the good category, but Steven Duggar, very good player, had a lot of clutch hits. He just couldn't really catch up to the off speed once they figured out how to pitch to him, but he was very reliable in the outfield, one of the best defensive players on the Giants, and so that's why I have him in the lowest of the great category. Now on, we have Dominic Leon, and Dominic Leon, I really like having the relievers in the good category because you can't really judge relievers because they weren't like very key. But Dominic Leon was very, very good in the bullpen. Very reliable arm and could just lights out with his fastball. Darren Ruff is going to go into the great category. And so I'm going to put him above Steven Duggar and above Chris Bryant. Because you look at his stats, he was one of the best. He had like a 271 average, a really high OPS, a really good slugging. He could really hit for power, hit a lot of doubles, hit a lot of singles, clutch home runs. He was really good and had a lot of good clutch games, and so that's why I'm putting him there. Jose Alvarez, I would put him in great. I would put him in good, but he really struggled in the last part, and so that's why he's going to get on the category, just because he wasn't amazing. And so he did pitch lights out in the middle of the season, came out of nowhere, won like reliever of the month, I'm pretty sure, and then just kind of fell off a cliff right there. And so that's why he's going to be in the category, just because of that. He kind of just dropped off a cliff from what he was pitching. And so now on to Buster Posey. He had one of the best seasons of his career. He had an amazing average, amazing power, went to the opposite field, was very clutch in the postseason as well, a great defensive catcher, and so that's why he's going to be the last one on the list, and he obviously goes in one of the best for the amazing. The only problem I have for him is that he didn't play much games, but that's just because we had to keep him healthy, and I'm totally fine with that. So that's why I put him in the amazing category. Just a career year, one of the best, a renaissance like everyone says, and had a year off last year and now plays amazing this year. And so that will do it for my rankings for the Giants players. If you agree or disagree, leave your comments down below. Make sure to like and make sure to subscribe. And so I'll keep making these videos, and hopefully we can have a great 2022 season and play just as good as we did in 2021. So we'll see what will happen, and I'll bring you off-season updates. And so I'll see you next time for a new SF Giants recap video.